Amazon is rushing to the defense of Hillary. Stevie Wonder and Beyonce are going to give us a lesson in global warming. And Facebook hiring 3,000 people to monitor your Facebook account. That's why mine got canceled. I'm Randall Terry. This is Voice of Resistance. What happened? That's the title of Hillary's new book. Hillary Clinton defeated presidential candidate in the 2016 election. Thank you. She wrote a book, or her and her ghostwriter wrote a book, What Happened? And basically it's one blame after another being placed pretty much across the globe, from Bernie Sanders to the media, Donald Trump, people who are racists. It's quite an analogy that never really puts it on her. It wasn't her fault. She wasn't a bad candidate, but I'm digressing. What I think is really funny is that Amazon is deleting all one-star ratings. Now, that is funny, but it goes to a much bigger issue. I'm old enough to remember the days when we had 3 television networks, ABC, CBS, and NBC. And if you were lucky, you had PBS. And I also remember the days when the federal government did not allow somebody to own more than 8 TV and radio stations combined. Okay, you could not own more than 8, and you could not own 2 in the same city. And that was done for political reasons. They did not want to have wealthy people having a monopoly. Clear Channel, who is the largest consortium of radio stations, took advantage of President Reagan's deregulation, and I regret that. I love President Reagan, but that was a huge mistake. And they control, at least last number I heard, was over 1,000 radio stations. So when you're driving through a city, sometimes Clear Channel will own 4, 5, 6 stations, and that's why when you flip through the dial, the commercials are all running at the same time, because they're determined that you're going to hear their commercials. But I digress. When we had the days of 8 TV stations or radio stations, and we had 1 or 2 big newspapers, and we had 3 major networks, I complained a lot. All right? I was on television a lot in my youth, all right? Interviewed by Dan Rather, Leslie Stahl on the Oprah Winfrey Show, and sometimes I thought, man, I've got it really bad, because they don't treat us fairly. So I learned some tricks how to be heard and how to be seen so that they would treat us fairly, even if they didn't want to, especially on live TV broadcasts and live radio broadcasts. Those are always my favorite, because you can say what you want. They can't edit it because it's live. Well, now we're in a very different era where Amazon says, we're not even going to let people think that this is a bad book. Facebook says, we're not even going to allow these accounts to exist. Google says, we're going to make someone disappear in cyberspace. When you used to plug it, this is personal for me, okay? Not personal in the sense of, oh, boo-hoo me, but personal in the sense of I have firsthand knowledge, all right? I'm not making this up. I'm not reading this and saying, oh, this is really crazy. I've had it happen. I've seen my postings on the internet and in the press disappear from Google in real time. In other words, while it's actually happening. You'll see, you put my name in a search engine and up comes the press release. 20 minutes later, it's gone. It's just gone. My Facebook account canceled by Facebook because I was promoting our TV series, our movie series documentary, What Would Mohammed Do? It's gone. They shut my account down. I'm going to try and get it back open, but this is what we're dealing with. Google has 10,000 people, last report, that do nothing but monitor people's websites. Facebook now has 3,000 people that monitor people's Facebook accounts. And if any hate speech comes up, they're going to cancel your account. Well, mine was canceled for that because I told the truth about Islam. I have a master's degree in diplomacy and international terrorism. I've done more study on Islamic terrorism than probably every employee at Facebook. That'd be my guess. They canceled my account. Amazon says we're not going to let you think that Hillary has a bad book. The moral of this story is that things are worse now because the people in control of the library are hiding the books. They're burning the books. The people in control of cyberspace are limiting what we have access to. And the impact, the devastation of this can be seen on people ages 18 to 49, 18 to 45, 18 to 30. People who rely on cyberspace, the internet, the web, their godless device, smartphone. They rely on these places for their information. And if the information that they're getting is faulty or lacking or only partially true or completely false, then they're going to not know the truth. They're going to be deceived. It puts us in great danger because the truth will set you free. Jesus said you'll know the truth and the truth will set you free. What if you don't know the truth? What if Google and Facebook and Amazon are hiding the truth from us? Way worse than Dan Rather and Oprah Winfrey ever thought of. It puts us in danger, friends, and I'm not sure of a solution yet. I tried to start a class action lawsuit against one of these people, and we're still discussing it. But we're in tough times. I've got to take a break. When we come back, what do Stevie Wonder and Beyonce have to say about Hurricane Irma? I'll tell you this, they got it wrong. Can you imagine? They sing so well, and they're just really not that well read. Today, many so-called Christian intellectuals believe that the God of evolution used billions of years of death and destruction to evolve the bodies of the first human beings. Then, they simply declare the theory of evolution as fact to justify their unproven scientific fallacies. By the grace of God, more and more Catholics are rejecting this modern-day mythology in favor of the traditional doctrine of creation, as recorded by the Bible and believed and taught by all the fathers and doctors of the church. To find out how sound theology and natural science confirm the sacred history of Genesis, visit the Colby Center for the Study of Creation, and be sure to check out our bookstore, which has titles like I Have Spoken to You from Heaven, A Catholic Defense of Creation in 6 Days, and A Catholic Assessment of Evolutionary Theory. That's the Colby Center for the Study of Creation. I have a guest in studio today. I'm going to refer to something that she said. I was talking on the phone yesterday afternoon to an old-timer who was a picker and a grinner. He did bluegrass music. And I'm asking him if he'd like to be involved in a movie production that we're doing. And I said, you can go to your computer and check out my website if you want to know who I am. And he said, and I quote, I don't do computers. My wife passed away in April. She was the one who did computers in our house, and since she passed away, I got rid of the computer. Now, I respect that. God bless him, but I want you to think with me. He's literally saying, I'll have a cell phone, probably a flip phone. I will not even deal with the internet. I'll listen to the radio. I'm assuming he has a television set, but he says, I'm not going to deal with computers. Do you understand that right now, Google and Facebook reach more people than the major television networks, and that they're about to overtake them in advertising revenue? 2/5 of all advertising revenue in America, and maybe the world, but in America, it goes through Google and Facebook. 2/5 of internet advertising revenue goes through Google and Facebook. 40% of all internet advertising revenue, just think of all the different channels, all the different advertising, 2/5 goes through those two companies, Facebook and Google. That sounds like it's approaching a monopoly to me, but the point of this is the danger, the unthinkable danger that this puts us in regarding communications, regarding information. And our studio guest was shocked to learn that Google has 10,000 raters. Human beings that rate sites can make them disappear. Just Get them off of the search engines. That Facebook canceled my account because I promoted a scholarly treatment of Islamic terrorism. This is nuts, people. This is nuts. Minimum wage people who might, some of them barely have a high school education, are taking down things that are scholastically sound, based in history, because it hurts someone's feelings. That's literally what we're dealing with. And then take the celebrity factor. We have so many people in this country who look to celebrities to tell them what's true. This is mind-boggling to me. I pray to God that I'm certain that you're not among them, but that you do not have family members like that. I mean, I'm constantly on the lookout for my children. I don't want my children to think that Beyonce can do anything much more than sing, or that Stevie Wonder can do anything much more than sing. I've got to take a break. When we come back, Lord have mercy on us, I'm going to play the clip from Stevie Wonder and from Beyonce, who got it completely wrong about Irma, but yet they're watched by millions of people, and heaven only knows how many millions of people swallowed the poison, because the famous people and the pretty people, like Stevie Wonder and Beyonce, told us, well, they're on TV and they look really good. Look at the makeup. Look at the clothing. It must be true what they're saying. Have Muslim terrorists hijacked the peaceful religion of Islam? Or is there more to the story? The answer lies in the life of one man, Muhammad, the founder of Islam. Muslim terrorists see themselves inside a 1,400-year-old story, a narrative that focuses on specific events in the life of Muhammad. We are going to look at Muhammad's life using their most sacred literature. We will look at Muhammad at the Battle of Badr. We'll see him deal with those who mock him. We'll see the times when he used deception. We'll witness Muhammad's anti-Semitism. And yes, we will discuss Muhammad and his teachings concerning sex, slavery, and jihad. Friend, if you want to understand Islamic terrorism, get this series today. There's nothing like when a bunch of famous Hollywood stars and starlets raise money. And I'm not opposed to it. I remember as a child watching Jerry Lewis raise money once a year on Labor Day weekend. He would stay up for unthinkable hours. Who was he raising money for? Was it March of Dimes, or was some childhood disease? I can't remember. I'm sorry. But I loved it. I loved watching it. A lot of entertainment. But they were always on point. Maybe a muscular dystrophy. I don't remember. And then, of course, you have Danny Thomas, who started St. Jude Children's Hospital, to which we are personally indebted. And he would raise money from and with very wealthy Hollywood stars and starlets and music people, Elvis and others. So I'm totally in favor of people raising money for those in need. The problem is when they go outside the script, when they don't color in the lines. Watch Stevie Wonder and Beyonce tell us the truth. No, I'm lying. Tell us about Hurricane Irma.
The effects of climate change are playing out around the world every day. Just this past week, we've seen devastation from the monsoon in India, an 8.1 earthquake in Mexico, and multiple catastrophic hurricanes. Irma alone has left a trail of death and destruction from the Caribbean to Florida to southern United States. We have to be prepared for what comes next.
As we should begin to love and value our planet, and anyone who believes that there is no such thing as global warming must be blind or unintelligent. Lord, please save us all.
So, there are sins of omission and sins of commission, things that you commit that are wrong, things that you don't do, omit. There are sins of verbal commission, when I say something that I shouldn't have said. But there are also the sins of when I don't say something that I should have said. Okay? In many ways, we offend all. The problem is that God is in control of the weather. These are godless statements. Now, it's funny because they were both saying global warming, but lately they haven't said global warming because the numbers don't work. So they've started to say climate change because they can't figure it out. One of the problems is that our records only go back a few decades. We don't have records over the last 500 years. So we don't know what natural or what distinct weather patterns have happened over the course of centuries because we don't have the data. But for them to stand up and say that Hurricane Irma and Hurricane Harvey were caused by global warming is just a fallacy. It's a fallacy. They don't have the data, okay? But I'll go a step further. If they want to really be champions about global warming, I mean really and truly, okay? Go to China and India and whine and complain. Go to China and India, all right? The two largest populations in the world, the number one economy in the world as far as manufacturing is concerned is China, and number 3 is India, soon to overtake America, right? India's economy will overtake America's economy within the next 20 years. China has 1.7 billion people. I believe India has 1.2 billion people, and they are major polluters of the atmosphere, not to mention waterways. I mean, when I was a kid, I grew up on the Great Lakes. That's Ontario, Erie, etc. And Lake Erie was considered a dead lake. There was so much mercury in the water that fish were dying. So I get it. I get the danger of pollution. We live close to the Genesee River, which was also horribly polluted. My dad fought every way that he could against acid rain, where the manufacturing would send up plumes of toxic fumes, and then they would get in the clouds, and then they would move in the clouds and then be rained down on other areas. So I grew up in a fairly liberal home that was very conscious of the duty that we have to care for the earth. That's not what we're dealing with here. And again, what they failed to say is that God is the weatherman. Don't let anyone kid you, friends. There is a God in heaven. He controls the weather patterns. For those of you who don't know what I'm talking about, go to our website, randallterry.com, and you can look for a free book called The Judgment of God. And in it, go to the chapter that's entitled Signs in the Sky. Very short, but it's just one Bible verse after another that proves that the scriptures teach, the Christian religion teaches, and the Christian religion is true with a capital T, okay? The Christian religion teaches that God is in control of the weather. Period. So, why do we have drought? Why do we have good weather? Why do we have hurricanes? It's all there. It's all there in the scriptures. It's not poetry. It's not someone's opinion. It's the truth. And what Beyonce and Stevie Wonder fail to mention is that blood, human blood, is crying from the ground for vengeance. And God told the children of Israel and all humanity that if you commit certain sins, that the ground, the very land, will vomit you out. Shedding of innocent blood is the worst crime that is committed on the planet. It's the worst crime. America has overseen the butcher. God have mercy on us. God have mercy on us. The killing of nearly 60 million human babies. Surgically killing them. We don't even know how many chemically. And that blood is crying from the ground for vengeance. And there's a way bigger connection between the innocent blood crying from the ground than there ever will be from the Cadillacs or the Fords coming out of Detroit that are using fossil fuels. I'll be right back. What Would Mohammed Do? Islamic Terrorism Explained is the best movie series documentary ever produced on the life of Muhammad and Islam. How do I know? Because it's what critics are saying. John Moore, radio host and author, said, "I learned more from What Would Mohammed Do about Islam and Islamic terrorism than I've learned from everything I ever read and watched in my entire life." Best-selling author Dr. Bill Warner said, What Would Muhammad Do is the best movie series, TV production on the life of Muhammad and Islamic terrorism that has ever been produced. Friends, this is what the experts are saying. No one has ever done what we've done. I encourage you to get 1, 2, 4 copies. Call 304-289-3700. That's 304-289-3700, or order it at the address or the website that you see on the screen. Friend, we have a series that will help you and those you love to have an impact on this country. It's called Insurrecta Nex. That's Latin for revolution against the killing of innocent people. This is the history, the philosophy, and the theology of social revolution in America. We look at the Stamp Act, the Boston Tea Party, the abolition of slavery, the abolition of child labor, women's voting rights, the civil rights movement. All of them have this in common: courage, sacrifice, dedication, and in-your-face tactics and rhetoric. That's one of the reasons that we've been losing the culture wars the last 40 years, is because the bad guys are using these tactics and we aren't. We will send you this 14-part TV series along with these manuals for students, a teacher's facilitator guide for only $40. Go to 304-289-3700, 304-289-3700. I was reading something in the past couple of days by somebody who loved the Lord, at least in their literature they indicated that, but they said when they stopped fearing God is when they began to enjoy life. I said, what? To fear God, to respect Him, to have awe of Him. It's the beginning of wisdom, and it keeps people from paths of evil. Okay? It's a good thing if you have a sense of fear, like, I don't want to reap what I sow. I don't want to do a whole bunch of bad things, because it's not karma, it's sowing and reaping. I don't want these things to come back on me. I say that because we need to live in the fear of God. We need to speak in the fear of God. We need to analyze what's happening culturally around us in the fear of God. The love, the honor, the respect of God from a godly perspective, or from the perspective of heaven, as much as we can humanly do that. And by that I mean we need to prioritize what God prioritizes. He prioritizes human life. We need to hate what God hates. The Bible says He hates the shedding of innocent blood. He hates it. So we should hate it. I mean, we are called to be like Christ, to be, right? We're supposed to be Christ-like. And as we analyze the storms, and I sent some press releases out a few days ago, got a good bit of media coverage saying that this was the judgment of God, I was both pleased and saddened. I was pleased that there was a lot of Christians out there that were saying that this is in fact connected to God. But what I was grieved about is that some of them were saying it's got to do with the second coming of the Lord. This is apocalyptic. And I don't share that opinion, but more importantly is that if we look at it as it being apocalyptic, well, then that just means it's the end of time as we know it. Jesus is going to come and there's nothing we can do about it. Connecting the floods to the judgment of God gives me responsibility, right? I can repent. I can fight against those things that are bringing the displeasure of heaven on us. But if it's a sign of the times that Jesus is coming any minute, there's nothing I can do about that. You understand? It's God's timetable. So I admired the courage that these men and women displayed to publicly state that this was in fact connected to God and to the second coming, but I'm just not so sure. I mean, Jesus said no one knows the day or the hour, and I'm old enough to remember the 1980s when we were told assuredly that Jesus was going to come in 1981, and then it was 1984, and then it was 1988, 88 reasons why the rapture is going to happen in 88. So we've made, the book 2000 and 2001, we've seen a lot of date setters come and go. There's been a lot of really bad predictions. I don't think it serves the body of Christ to connect catastrophic natural disasters, which are from the hand of God, to the second coming as much as it does to the laws of God. It's covenantal in nature, not eschatological in nature. In other words, it's about the law of God, not about the end of time. Hope you enjoy the show. Go check out our website, randallterry.com. See you soon.